The Republican Party is now so exceeding what you might expect it would do in bowing down to Donald Trump, tripping over itself to worship at his feet, that even he is like, you got to dial it back a little bit. So they wanted to do this thing where, despite the fact that we've only had a caucus and a primary, they had this resolution to name him the presumptive nominee, which is just, what are you doing at this point? Like, you're in the thing that decides the nominee. You don't need to do that. Well, that's not just me saying that. If we could jump ahead, he put up a message saying, "While I greatly appreciate the RNC wanting to make me their presumptive nominee," in all caps, "and while they have far more votes than necessary to do it, I feel, for the sake of party unity, that they should not go forward with this plan, that I should do it the old-fashioned way and finish the process off at the ballot box. Thank you to the RNC for the respect and capital D devotion you've shown me, Trump 2024. So I am actually, I guess, a little bit surprised by that. This seems like the sort of thing that he would like, them just declaring him the winner before he's actually won. So that was surprising to me. Beyond just the surprise though, this is the biggest bunch of BS possible. He's doing this for party unity. That's what he cares, as he is trying to rip the party apart. He's like telling donors that donate to Nikki Haley that they're permanently cut off from the MAGA world or whatever. And he wants to do it the old-fashioned way. Here's an idea: have a debate. That's part of the old-fashioned way, actually getting on the stage and talking about what you plan to do, and you'll maybe attacking Nikki Haley to her face instead of just doing it on Truth Social or something like that. He has no interest in the old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned way is if you lose an election, you just go off and do other stuff. You don't try to overturn the results of it. So anyway, I am surprised by this turn. What do you think?
So someone needs to pull Trump aside and tell him what the old-fashioned way was in politics. And if you watch my Rebel HQ video this week, I take you through the entire history of the primary process and how it used to be. All of it used to be like New Hampshire was for the Democrats, where like people might vote, but then the party bosses just choose who the hell they want. Like, the problem is Trump, if they did it the old-fashioned way, you would be nowhere near the conversation, and the Republican party bosses would absolutely choose who they wanted, and who they wanted would not be you. So the new fashioned way, and I'm talking about like essentially since 1968, when there was a riot in Chicago because the Democrats did this and the Republicans didn't actually do it so much. Like, since then, primaries are binding. So the new fashioned way is to decide it at the polls. And that said, like, I think strategically, if he was nervous about losing the primary, then he would say go along with this plan that they're hatching. And I can prove that because when he knew that he had lost the general election, he was advocating for just doing it a completely different way that was underhanded and against the Constitution.
You know, it's funny because you just reminded me, so this is so needless, but I'll try to make it quick. I was randomly, thanks to Netflix, I was watching some Project Runway, and there's this guy who was made team leader of his team or whatever, and he was a really petty guy who loved drama, but he was also very good at making clothing or whatever. And when he would be in like the top 3, he was so nice to his teammates, and he took responsibility for everything, and he was just diplomatic. The second he started to do poorly, he was pointing fingers and throwing people under the bus, and all that faux humility was gone because it was never actual humility. It was something he was freed up to do because he was on top and it wouldn't hurt him. And Trump is exactly like that. But the thing is, he's not even that good at it because he's got this faux willingness to participate in the process, but he isn't gonna do the debates. And he is still attacking Nikki Haley, and he's still attacking Kayleigh McEnany for giving him advice. He's not even doing the thing he's pretending to do. And the only other thing I wanna let you know about this is that along the way, the fact that he threatened Nikki Haley's donors doesn't really seem to be hurting her necessarily. She raised $2.6 million in the immediate aftermath of those attacks. Her super PAC has raised over $50 million. There are a lot of people with a lot of money who do not want Donald Trump to win this thing. None of that will probably matter in the end, but it's a lot of money in the meantime. Quick final comment, Brett, before we move on.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, I just don't think that she has any shot. I think the only reason Nikki Haley is staying in the race, there's 2 options. One, she does want to see what happens in South Carolina. Two, she's waiting until like convictions potentially come through. She wants to be the person who racks up the second most delegates so that if Trump can't run, she has a better claim to the throne, even though those delegates that Trump won are only beholden to him if he is still possible to be the nominee.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just, if he goes to jail and we've gone into total crazy town, there's gonna be a ton of people making the claim that they should be the candidate. And she wants to have that like ace up her sleeve, that like, hey, a bunch of people voted for me, by the way. They didn't vote for DeSantis because he ran, I think that's what it's about as well.